this buck, he came up out of a bedding area feeding, and there was a lot of acorns dropping. So we were on the edge of some hardwoods and big agriculture, destination agriculture as the hunting world calls it. And so I first saw him at no further than 50 yards, and
Oh
pretty
man.
much right away decided I was going to try to harvest this buck. And it was not because of anything specific as far as character or uniqueness. I just saw a glimpse of the right side of his rack, and I could tell he had 5 points on it. So I knew he was like a 10 pointer, And so I was like, all right, I'm going to try to harvest this buck. And from that point on, I really was just focusing on, where am I going to shoot? What direction is he going to come in? He kind of had two options: trail in front of me and a trail behind me. Trail behind comes into to about 5 to 10 yards. Trail in front would be about 15 to 20. So he kind of had two options, or he could have veered off, as well. So he actually ended up deciding to start to head in um, the trail behind me. So yeah, I'll pop him up here since you're gonna do this on
Yeah,
video.
please do. I want
Yeah.
to see it.
So I
Let the
I
listeners see
initially
this.
saw this side, and if maybe you can tell, it just looks like a 5 point side. And then
Yeah,
when
if you were to
he
first glance at it, you would think it's a 10
yeah,
point side. Yeah.
yep. So when he turned, and his rack sat like this, so you can see like the plane of his skull. I guess I'm opposite here. So he just goes up a lot, quite a bit, and so when he turned like this, I thought, oh boy, yeah, he's got some stuff going on. The brow tines, I mean, he's got basically triple brows on both sides, and so when he turned his head up, I could tell he might have had something goofy going on in the brows, and I could tell he had an extra point over here on this side, and that was really about it. And so beyond that, I did again. I just kind of turned my brain off to analyzing his rack very much. But for the sake of time, I think some key points that as I look back and reflect on this is people talk about mature bucks all the time and about how they just act different, move different. Maybe you catch them slipping up in the rut. But beyond that, this deer was so patient with his movement. He would stop. It took him about 40 minutes from the initial time that I saw him to go from about 45 yards to 5 yards. And so he stopped for 3 to 5 minutes every 3 to 5 yards. I mean, he was just, and part of it was because acorns were there, I think, and there's food. But he would stop and he would look around. I mean, the one opportunity he gave me, because I had to turn around to my stand to make sure I could shoot behind me. The one chance he gave me to do that is he actually rubbed a tree. And while he was rubbing the tree, and he was at about 25 yards, and he was quartering two really hard. I couldn't get a shot. There was brush between me and him. So that was my chance to turn around. And then I just had to wait and wait and wait. And on my phone, I started recording after I grabbed my bow and got it, facing the proper direction, or facing towards him kind of. I recorded on my phone, and it was like 34 minutes from when I started the recording to when I shot. And it would have been a couple minutes. So it was a long encounter. He was very patient with his movement. I actually ended up having to shoot twice at this deer. I missed my first shot, which is crazy. He was at about 5 to 7 yards, and I hit a branch really close to the tree. There's a little bunch of branches that I kind of had to shoot over top of, and I actually clipped one of them, and it took my arrow about 6 inches below him. For some reason, between the acorns falling and there was some raccoons scurrying around us, I think he just chucked, and because it glanced so far below him and didn't even touch him, I think he just thought, it must have been an acorn or a raccoon. And so he just kind of did a bound and then took kind of 3 steps back to his right and was quartering away hard. And I was able to get a second arrow knocked while he was doing that and tuck it behind his final rib on his back right. And there was thankfully no, branches in the way. About a 12-yard shot, was able to settle the pin. And yeah, I ended up having to back out, let him, and too, make sure he was able. I watched him bed down, and I was nervous. I was like, this deer, I know he's gonna die, but man, I was like, how long is it gonna take? It's need to be overnight. Would coyotes get to him if we go in too early? We're gonna bump him. But yeah, pretty spectacular experience.